Okay, so just a heads up, this video may be a little rough. I was almost done explaining the examples the last time I was recording. However, I forgot to press resume record after I had paused it for a second. So, I think this may be a little rough because I think this is gonna be the last time I record it. So hopefully it's perfect. Okay. So, let me start off by saying this is a video for lesson 13-4, which is about problem solving. This is actually the last lesson for topic 13. Tomorrow there will be an assessment that's posted online. However, I will also be posting a review video for you guys too, just to help you out with that as well. So if we kind of recap really quickly, topic 13, in lesson 1, we went over our order of operations, and we were also introduced to brackets, which again, the operations in the brackets needs to be done before parentheses, and then so on and so forth. In lesson 2, we were practicing writing our own expressions and solving them. And then for lesson 3 yesterday, it was really just interpreting the different expressions that they gave us, just kind of comparing the numbers that are in there and trying to figure out which is greater and which is lesser. So today we're going to kind of put what we learned together from lessons 1 and 2, and we're going to be given different information, different scenarios, and then we're going to have to write and solve our own expressions. So let's get started. So the camp cook has 6 dozen eggs. He uses 18 eggs to bake some brownies. Then he uses twice as many eggs to make pancakes. And what they want to know is how many eggs does the cook have left? It says to use reasoning to write an expression and evaluate an expression that represents the problem. So the first thing that we need to do here is we need to figure out exactly how many eggs did the camp cook start with. So we know that he had 6 dozen. And then the way I say it, and we know that there are 12 eggs in a dozen, or there are 12 in a dozen. So we need to multiply 6 times 12 to figure out exactly how many eggs he started with. And then when you use eggs, obviously you're taking them away. You're not adding them to your pile, or to your pile of eggs. So we know that we're going to have to do some subtraction. He doesn't just use 18 eggs for one, so he does use 18 eggs to make brownies, but he made 2 recipes with the eggs. That's why we're adding the parentheses, because we're going to have to do 2 operations before we can subtract that from the total amount of eggs that we started with. Sorry, that sounded confusing in words, but when I write it out, don't worry, I got you. So he used twice as many eggs to make the pancakes. So not only did he use the 18, then he also used 2 times or twice as many of those eggs to make pancakes. So let's just go ahead and identify some things. So from our example, this right here represents the 6 dozen eggs that he started with. This right here represents the amount of eggs used to make brownies. And then this part of our expression right here represents the twice as many eggs that he used for pancakes. Okay, so now we are ready to solve. So again, let's apply our PEMDAS. So we'll start over here to the left, work our way to the right. So 6 times 12 is 72. And then in our parentheses, we're going to have to do our multiplication first. Because again, multiplication comes before addition in our PEMDAS. So we have 18 plus, and then 2 times 18 is 36. So then we have 72, and then again, we do our operation in the parentheses first. So 18 plus 36, that equals 54. And then when we subtract 54 from 72, we are left with 18 eggs. So after the camp cook was done baking and cooking, he was left with 18 eggs. All right, so let's move on to our next example. So this information above the line up here, we're going to be using that information for the next 3 questions, okay? So Todd has 4 baseball card albums, and each album can hold 42 cards. He lets his best friend Franco choose 5 cards from each album. That's important to remember. How many cards does Todd have now? So if we look at question number 1, it says that we need to write an expression to represent the total amount of cards in Todd's albums before he gave them away. That's the kicker here. They want to see, they're first just asking us to write an expression to show how many did he start with. So again, very similar to the example that we just went through. The way that we found the total amount of eggs the cook started off with, we started with the number of dozens he had, and then we multiplied that by the amount in a dozen. So similarly, he has 4 card albums, and they each can hold 42 cards. So again, when we talk about explaining how our expression represents the quantities, we know that there are 4 card albums, and then we know that there are 42 cards in each album. Okay, so this is just the first part of our expression. Again, they just wanted us to represent the total amount of cards that he had before he gave any away. Okay, so again, remembering this information, let's head to number 2. So it says to write an expression to represent the total amount of cards in Todd's albums now after he gives some cards to Franco. So again, what I told you, what was important to remember was that Franco took cards from each album. He didn't just take them from one album, he took one from each album. So we still have our 4 times 42, and then again, we know that he took 5. Now, the way that we can represent, what we can add to our expression to represent that is if we add the parentheses, okay? Because we need to do the subtraction first, because again, he didn't just take, he didn't just take he didn't just take 5 cards from one album, he took 5 cards from 4 albums, okay? So let's go to question number 3, which I think is just to solve this. So it says, how many cards does Todd have after he gives some cards to Franco? And it says to explain how you solve the problem. So we've mostly just been explaining as we go. But like we said, we have the expression 4 times, and then in parentheses, 42 minus 5. And again, we needed to add the parentheses because he takes them from 4 albums. So let's go ahead and solve, shall we? So we have 4, and then again, need to do my parentheses first. And 42 minus 5 equals 37. Okay, so all I'm left with now is multiplication. So 4 times 7 is 28, and then I carry my 2, and then 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 more is 14. So after Todd gives some cards to Franco, he is left with only 148 cards. All right, so Miss Kim is ordering sets of place value blocks for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade classes. She wants 1 set for each student, and there are 6 sets of blocks in a carton. Okay, so again, we're going to use this information. We see there are 48 3rd graders, 43 4th graders, and 46 5th graders. This information was just extra that they put in there. I think they may have used it for other questions in the textbook, or maybe it was just to throw us off. Who knows? But anyways, again, she's only ordering for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade classes. So it says to write and solve an expression to represent the number of cartons Miss Kim needs to order. So we know that there are 48 3rd graders, 43 4th graders, and 46 5th graders. So our expression is not complete yet, though, because if we added these numbers together, then that just gives us the total number of students. However, in the sets that she wants to order, there are six sets of blocks in each carton. Okay, so we need to do another operation. However, we will need to do the addition first. Okay. So this right here would give us the total number of cartons that she needs. But there would be 6 sets in each carton. So rather than multiplying by 6, we're going to divide that number by 6. Because again, we're dividing one carton among each of these students, but there are 6 sets. So let's go ahead and solve. So we have 48 plus 43 plus 46. And again, that's in parentheses, so that's what we need to do first. All right, so 48 plus 43 is 91. And again, we have plus 46 divided by 6. But again, I'm not done with everything in the parentheses. So then 91 plus 46 is 137. And again, now we need to just divide by 6. So I'm just going to show my work over here off to the side. So 6 can go into 0 or 1 0 times. 6 goes into 13 2 times. So I subtract 12. And then 6 can go into 17 again only 2 times. So we are left with a remainder of 5. So what that means is, but again, there are 6 sets of blocks in a carton. So she will need to order 22 whole cartons. But then she still needs 5 more. So in order to get those 5 extra sets that she needs, she would just need to add another carton. So altogether, she would need to need to order 23 cartons so that each student, each 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade student has a set of place value blocks. Whew, that was fun, right? Okay, so these last 2 examples that we're going to do for the day are actually going to help you with your quick check. Okay, so Miss Van Tile needed to buy food for her pets. She needed 6 bags of dog food and 15 bags of cat food. The bags of dog food weigh 23 pounds and the bags of cat food weigh 13 pounds. So it says, how many pounds of food does she have in all? So what we're going to have to do is, so let's write our expression. So we know that she needs 6 bags of dog food, and each bag of dog food weighs 23 pounds. Okay? And then we know she needed 15 bags of cat food, and that each of those bags weighed 13 pounds. And they want to know what's the total amount of food that I have in all. So again, whatever is in parentheses, that's what we need to do first. So 6 times 23. So 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. All right, so with this one, I'm just going to show my work off to the side again here. So 3 times 5 is 15. Carry my 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Add my placeholder, and then 1 times 5, 1 times 1. And then once I add those up, I have another 195 pounds of food. Dang, my animals are going to be eating good. All right, so then all that's left to do is add. So 138 plus 195. So again, the 138 represents the amount of dog food that I now have. And the 195 pounds represents the amount of cat food that I have. So once I add those 2 totals together, that will give me how many pounds that I have in all. And 138 plus 195 is 333. Yikes. So altogether, I have 333 pounds of pet food. We'll just call it pet food because, again, it's for both cats and dogs. All right. So last example here. Miss Wilds was ordering cupcakes for a party. She needs 5 small orders and 13 large orders. The small order contains 11 cupcakes, and the large order contains 32 cupcakes. It says to write and solve an expression to find out how many cupcakes she ordered. So let's do some marking up in this question just to kind of help us out. So we know that she needs 5 small orders, and the small orders contain 11 cupcakes. And then she needed 13 large orders, and the large orders have 32 cupcakes in each order. So again, we're just going to so when we write our expression, we're going to use what we know to help us figure out the order. So we know that there are 5 small orders with 11 in each order. And then she also had to order 13 large orders that have 32 cupcakes in each of them. So again, this right here represents the large orders, and this over here represents the small orders. So let's go ahead and solve. So again, according to PEMDAS, I do my parentheses first. So 5 times 11 is 55, and then 13 times 32. Let's go ahead and set up our problem. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. Add my placeholder. 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 1 is 3. Of course, I didn't leave myself enough room. 6 plus, and let's add these up together. So 6 plus 0 is 6. 2 plus 9 is 11. Carry my 1. And then 1 plus 3 is 4. Jeez, these are a lot of cupcakes, those wilds. What do you need all this for? Okay, so let's go ahead and add. So again, this represents the number of cupcakes in the small orders. And then 416 represents the number of cupcakes that are in the large orders. So we need to add those together to figure out how many cupcakes total she had. So 416 plus 55 equals 471 cupcakes altogether. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Again, sorry it was kind of a long video again today, but there was kind of a lot of explaining, a lot of thinking that we needed to do. So just wanted to make sure that you have everything that you need. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me on Teams. Please, okay, ask me questions. I'm literally just sitting here chilling, okay? I can do more examples for you. I can do whatever you need, okay? I miss you guys, love you guys, and I hope you're doing well. Bye.